Well, I'm out here on a Super Bowl afternoon because I'm going to meet a guy who's going to talk to us about the value of the rock, whether it's theoretically possible for us to sell any of it to offset the cost of construction. Is it possible to trade it? I'll trade the rock and you bring your equipment up and clear my building site. Or somewhere in between. So I'm here a little early to kind of just get ready and preview the site and what I want to talk to him about. And I couldn't help but walk into the building just to, see if there's a difference. And I know it hasn't been sealed up except overnight, but there is a profound smell difference in here today. Not that it doesn't smell a little bit like rats. It's just we made some serious headway yesterday when the fam was out here and we dug out all those mountains of rat turds and just skanky nastiness. Okay, this room is still just foul. Just foul, but it's like he stirred it up a little bit. And ironically this room is still pretty foul. Well, oh well. I think some of the smell won't get knocked down until I get the floors and walls painted. Seal it in there with some Zinsser or whatnot, but the rest of the house, there's a real serious difference in stink. Progress! So the verdict. We walked the whole place, and in a nutshell, this would have been a pretty good rock yard in about 1990. A lot of the colors have shifted in the building trades. There's still some fairly valuable stone. He talked about pallets of stuff like that, though they'd want that corner knocked off. You could be looking at $200 a ton, so $400 a pallet wholesale. There is some thin stuff. There's a fair bit of this sort of veneer stone that he says is fairly valuable. The green that we were always so curious about, when you bang on it, it makes a thump thump noise, so the green is not super valuable. It's rotten stone. He says a lot of this, unfortunately, is about what you'd expect. It's a rock yard that's been picked through. Hastily picked through, but picked through nonetheless. His recommendation, if we truly wanted to make a little bit of cash, we could sort, see, like, so he says in theory that'd be a fine shape, and I'd think, ooh, that's a fine shape, but it's too trapezoid. They want the nice vertical edges. Though something like that would be good enough for me. I'd like to build a bunch of stuff with rock. Yard rocks, right? I can sell big yard rocks for $50 to $75 a ton. If I'm going to sort this stuff, I'm looking at $150 to $200 a ton. If I had a saw out here and was willing to cut faces, basically just cut off the faces of the rocks and I can stick it on there and it looks like you got a big boulder, that might be $400 a ton. He doesn't like the idea of a big dozer, at least buying one. He thinks I'd be money ahead to buy a smaller thumb excavator, 550 John Deere, just a smaller, older thumb excavator, and rent a big cat for the long pushes. I didn't actually show him this part. This might have been one of the last places they were picking from. There's a couple of things he didn't understand where they were drilling and blasting, and for the life of me couldn't figure out why, because the rock wasn't any good. But there's places like up in here where they went in fairly deep and we're getting something they liked. So that's where we sit. I think I'm gonna look again. He says there aren't. He knows of 3 crushers here locally. Oh my dang, I've never seen this road down here. He says he knows of 3 crushers locally. It's not much of a road. There's a construction company, Revere's, it's got a crusher. Cement plant's got a crusher, and he thinks that maybe somebody else has one. So if it looked like I was going to invest in a piece of equipment to turn a little bit of cash for building, that I might be better off with a rock crusher, given how often I've gotten the pickup stuck here in the last few days. Well, not stuck, you know, but I needed 4-wheel drive and I sink in 3 or 4 inches in that gumbo. I'm going to need a lot of rock myself. So I'm going to look back into those smaller portable crushers. Sort of rolling slope. That's cool. I mean, even in this little bit, you can hear the difference that stuff's getting kind of rotten and soft, but you can see the big checks. That must have been what they're going after. At least I know a little bit more about, there's some bricks, some edge, or curbstone, I guess is what they call it, up there. I know a little bit more about what they want, a lot more about pricing, a lot more about how long a specific piece of equipment lasts doing this work. Spoiler alert, not very long. You could, with a serious amount of work and, you know, an off-road truck like that Willys pickup, you could potentially come up with, you know, $10,000 or $20,000 worth of hand-picked rock, just cream of the crop off the surface, pulling from a lot of places, bringing it down to a central location, and stacking it on pallets. I could probably do that relatively simple. And you know, that's not nothing. That's still a foundation. He's given me the names of his blasting crew, and turns out that drilling and blasting is a lot less money than I thought it would be. $400 to move the machine, the drill, and about $300 a shot. So not very much money. If I had some big rocks that needed to pop, they could be popped. It's just, you would have to hand comb, because that's no good, it's not square enough. You'd have to hand comb this place and search for rocks with square faces. So there, it's got a nice square face, but look at that weird shape. Again, it's a pick-through rock yard. There's still some money here. There's no money for another rock company paying a crew and insurance, but for a guy and a little blonde-headed boy, there's some income here if a fellow was willing to work. And maybe the idea of a crusher isn't as ridiculous as it sounds. That's the Highway 200 bend. So the old dirt Highway 200 came in, swept around and back out, back when the river came through here, and then they blasted and straightened the road back in the day. We gotta be careful because we're at the top of about 180 feet straight down. See, there's even an old road over there. God help them. And somebody hand poked with a bar around the bases of all these rocks. He was pointing that out, prospecting that maybe they were trying to get a road down to that face over there, and that face might have some value, but I don't know how you get at it, which is probably why they stopped. And I'm not in the mood to do an awful lot more damage up here. The roads that exist are the roads that I'll use. Skim the cream off the top, sell it. Maybe I can use it to pay off this equipment. I mean, $20,000 would buy a fine little excavator, a very fine little excavator. It would buy a huge rock crusher. The crusher I was looking at was about 7. The crusher I probably should have is about 12. Something to think about. It is a beautiful place. Thanks for watching.